of the shower. Hope you don't mind. I'm letting my mop air dry. It is re-reddened, so looking a lot better than it was already. Anyway, who cares about that? Hey, I read 6 books in April, so let's talk about them. In April, we read some good and we read some okay. It just kind of stayed in that middle lane for me for the most part. Now, we started April off with a somewhat unforgettable book, and that was The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Now, I had just learned, because I've never read a Christina Lauren book before, that it is a duo of people who are writing books together. So Christina and Lauren. I don't know much else about them or about their dynamic. I know that their books are hit or miss. The Unhoneymooners, I think, started off strong for me. I thought it was really cute. The twin sisters I really liked their characters, and that one is always like a screw up and oh my goodness, my life is just not as together as my sisters who wins everything. And it was cute. It was funny. There were moments where I laughed, but it's quintessentially okay. And then of course at the end they end up in love, which is just blows my mind ridiculous. I think what I'm learning the more I read romance is that I really don't need them to fall in love. If you show me that they have a good connection, I can make that mental leap that they're going to fall in love at some point. I don't need you to shoehorn in the love. I think that's rushed, and that's what takes a book from like a 3 or 3.5 or 4 for me and just tanks it, because I'm like, I don't care that they're in love. I know they're going to fall in love. You've shown me their connection. You've done a good job bringing the characters to life enough for me to see their connection and to be along the ride with them. I don't need you to tell me, I don't need the dude to say, oh, I love you. I don't need the girl to be like, oh, I've loved you for so long. No, I don't need that, because I already know. And there are stories where it's necessary. Most of them, it's not necessary. I know you're going to be in love. Cheers to you, so it's just that kind of stuff annoys me with romances. Overall, Unhoneymooners is okay. The next book, however, and I've been reading heavy romance. I started off the year with reading some really dark shit. I kicked off with My Dark Vanessa and Lolita back to back, and then with Parachutes last month. I've been reading some dark stuff. So I think my brain was like, you need to let's lighten up a little bit. You're coming into spring. Let's lighten it up a little bit. So I decided, cool. And I'm an extreme mood reader. I will read where the wind blows. If my brain wants to read this is what we're reading, and I'm perfectly fine with that. So my brain wants romance, and I've been reading romance. And it's called, okay, I'll just cut to the chase. Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. This is right up my alley. Again, they fall in love at the end. I didn't need that shoehorn in. I did not need that. But if it's an epilogue and time has passed, then I can see oh, that's what it's like in the future. My assumptions were right. Yay! I can deal with that. But this book was hot. Oh my gosh! I was just like, okay, I need to calm down. This book was sassy, and I really, really enjoyed it. Okay, so it's about this girl named Jordan who's dating this guy, and then her boyfriend, and then ends up living in the same house with her boyfriend and his father. Relationships ensue. The girl Jordan and her boyfriend's dad start up a thing, and but the thing is, I think Penelope Douglas did a great job of it not being uber creepy. It's that mutual pining is I want this so bad, but I can't have it, and here's why. And it was an organic coming together. Get your head out of the gutter. Talking to myself, not to you. Anyway, so it was organic growth in how they slowly came together, and the tension was just delicious, and I was all in for it. It was really hot. So the one thing is the age difference. 19 and 38. Now, the thing with Jordan is that she's never been interested in like the party life. She wants to skip all the crap and just get right to, she wants a family. She wants to settle down. That's been her dream. Cool. That's great. That's awesome. Amazing. Go for it. The age difference is it's a lot. I'm not saying those relationships are not unheard of and that those relationships can't work out, but I kind of didn't need it to work out. Where I was hoping that this would go was that she would have this sexual awakening and this burgeoning womanhood would come out of her, and she would realize, her independence and her strength, and this is what she needs and wants in life, and she's going to like go forth and get it. I didn't necessarily think her and the dad were going to end up together in the end. I was hoping that they wouldn't, again, because apparently I have a war against love and romance, so I don't know. Personal growth and learning about yourself. But in books, I don't need that part. So I was hoping that she would have that very independent woman, hear me roar vibe about her after having this. I was hoping it'd be more of a fling. But they ended up together, fine, happy. Oh, but it's the mutual pining and the tension is so good. Oh my gosh. That one's hot. Recommend. The next one I read was another romance that I did not like, and I almost DNF'd. That was Tessa Bailey, Fixer Up. Fixer Up? Fixer Upper? Yeah, Fixer Up. I was waiting for Tools of Engagement to come into my library. And it's on like an 8-week wait, which is fine. But I started this one. I heard great things about Tools of Engagement. I haven't heard much about the first two. I was like, oh, it's a trilogy, so let's just start from the beginning. This one was available right away, and I was like, yeah, cool. Download. The reason I almost DNF'd was near the beginning. They have this like women's empowerment group, which great, cool. Keep you on track. They talk about their goals, things they want in life. That's awesome. They're comparing all these men and putting them in like this lumped group of like these little boys, and they just don't know what, how to treat a woman and blah, 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 and all this, like men suck type of thing. One of the women's husband is a wartime veteran, has been deployed to the sandbox multiple times, and he's being lumped in with this group of dumb men, and I can't deal with that. It was such an ignorant thing to say about a vet. Like this man probably needs mental health. He probably needs some mental health assistance. He's probably suffering from PTSD. You want to talk about the fact that all these men are cold and distant? He just came from a war zone. Like you can't lump him in with everyone else. The second book is about that couple. Once I heard that, okay, let me start over. So, maybe not start over, but so as far as this couple goes and lumping a veteran in with this is like, he probably needs help. So instead of bitching about him, how about you say, hey, let's go to your command and see if we can see if we can talk to a counselor. Like, that's perfectly valid and a wonderful, great thing to do. We need to be supporting more of our troops, going to get mental health services. It's a good thing. So it pissed me off, and I was like, okay, putting that audiobook on hold. The narrator's great. Putting that audiobook on hold, and I'm like, okay. It took me a while to actually get back to it because I was really pissed off by that. And then I finished the book. I'll get back to that in a second. I finished the book, and then I saw that book 2 was available on, I don't remember what it's called, but book 2, there'll be a graphic somewhere around here. It was available on my library, so I was like, cool, downloaded it. I started it. I can't even call it a DNF because I didn't get far enough into like get any sort of substance, but the second book is about that couple. And I did not want to get pissed off again, in case I just couldn't do it. I'm not going to listen to this woman mischaracterize, someone who's probably going through some really heavy shit. And I don't want to deal with it. And I enjoy Tessa Bailey's writing immensely. I think I think she's very personable in her writing style. It's very easy breezy and conversational, and I really like it. And I don't want to dislike her. So I'm going to skip book 2. Don't want to deal with it. So back to Fix Her Up. Learning more about what I like and dislike in romance, and I hate, and this is in my real life too, I hate overbearing, overprotective men. It's gross. Like, it's so disgusting. So you got this guy, Trevor, who's a total tool. I mean, complete and utter douchebag. And then you have Georgie, who's the youngest castle daughter, who's just this cute little adorable. She's a children's entertainer. She runs her own, she's starting to run her own business. That's not the family business. And no one takes her seriously because she's young, she's little, she does goofy things for kids, but no one really appreciates or understands what she truly does and what she's truly about. I adore Georgie. Oh my gosh, I really do. And I think she's too good for everyone in all of these books. And she needs to leave that town and leave everyone behind and go be a better person elsewhere. So Georgie is way too good for this family. She's way too good for Trevor. And she needs to cut and run fast. But of course she doesn't. So Trevor is an ex-pro baseball player whose nickname is Two Bats. I'm sure you can guess why. And I had a physical reaction every time Trevor says baby girl. Like, you don't know what I'm going to do to you, baby girl. And I was like, Every single time I went, without fail. It's gross. And the overbearing, overprotective, possessive, that's what I was looking for. Possessive men drive me nuts. I think they're pathetic, they're insecure, and they, go talk to someone. Figure out why you're so possessive, because it's not hot. It's not sexy. Nothing. And again, I like Tessa Bailey's writing. I like Georgie a lot. And I was like, Georgie, do not fall for this guy. He's a piece of trash. And he does not deserve your attention in any way, shape, or form. But of course, that's the way the book goes. And I did not like it because I can't stand that type of man. And I am just shy of 50% done of Tools of Engagement, which I will get into in the next wrap up. But it's the possessive man thing is just, I think it's gross. It is so gross. Not for me. If you like it, that is perfectly fine. Enjoy the book because it's a fun book. Some of the sexy time is really good. Like I said, her writing is really is breezy. It's conversational. It's personable. You feel like you can actually know these people because you probably do know this type of person in your life. And that's a good thing about her writing. I really like Tessa Bailey. I don't like the men she chooses to portray in her stories. And if you like those type of stories, good for you. Read it. Have fun. This is just one dumbass's opinion on the, infinite wormhole of YouTube. So, if you like it, I am happy for you that you found something you like. It is not for me as an individual human being with my own thoughts and feelings. Okay, so moving on to the next one from that, because I could continue to go on about why I don't like it. All right, so the next book that I read was The Yellow Wife by Sadiqa Johnson. Oh, this was very good. This was one of the highlights of the month. And I very much enjoyed this book. And it's really weird to say that you enjoy a book when it's about such a dark subject and topic, which is about slavery. And it's It's a sad book. It's emotional, and it's about how far would a mother go for her children? How far would you go for survival? Oh, my goodness gracious. So this is a story about Phoebe, who is this young child. She's going to turn 18 soon, and she is going to go to school. She's been taught how to read. She plays the piano wonderfully. She's been taught all of these things by the previous lady of the house and the master of the house, of the plantation. And her mother is just she knows that her daughter is meant to see freedom. So things happen. I'm not going to tell you exactly how and what and why things happen, because I want you to read this book. I think it's very good. I think it is worth your time to read, and I do recommend it. It's only about 250 pages, so it's not a long read, but it is a bit of a tough read. So through events that happen early in the book, Phoebe is taken by slavers from her plantation, and she is marched across the country to the Lapier prison in Richmond, Virginia, which is based off of the very real Lumpkins prison, which is not a pretty place, which was definitely not a place you wanted to end up. So Phoebe ends up there, and she's going to be the lady of the house on the plantation she grew up on wants her to, is threatening her that she's going to go be a fancy girl, which is basically a prostitute. And, ick. So, but the owner of the prison, Mr. Lapier himself, the owner and presider of the Devil's Half Acre, as it's known, takes a liking to Phoebe and makes her his wife. Now, the reason it's called the Yellow Wife is it's presumed that Phoebe is the daughter of the master from the plantation, Master Jacobs, and she is what has been referred to as high yellow, which means her skin tone is lighter. Now, it's only ever mentioned, I think, twice in the book about her skin tone, so that doesn't play a huge role in it. I think it's more just to inform you where she comes from and why she's going to be allotted schooling at the age of 18. So, so she's angry that she's not going to go to school, and then she pops out a lot of kids as this man's wife. Phoebe's had to make several decisions to make sure that she's surviving. So it's survival for herself and survival for her children. Again, it's a really good book, and I recommend reading it. The next book I read was by Leigh Bardugo, and that was Siege and Storm, book 2 in the original Grishaverse trilogy. So, book 2, we all know that I tend away towards YA books. If it feels too young for me, I tend to lose interest, or, it's just, I don't know. Sometimes you need something light and snacky, and these were light and snacky for me. What I like the best about the Grishaverse is the universe. I love the concept of the universe. I love the concept of how the powers work, and in that it's different than magic. Like, this is a science, and magic is actually evil. Like, this science, the more you use your powers, your Grisha powers, it strengthens you, and it makes you just a stronger, better, healthier person. And that's awesome. And then when you use science, it takes from you. So you're using the scientific powers that are, you're manipulating the elements around you of things that already exist, gives you strength and power. And when you're using magic to manipulate or create something that isn't there, it takes from you. And I love those concepts. And I think the Grisha universe is just, the world is so cool, and I really adore the concepts. Where I get lost is, again, some of the characters. Some of the characters are really good. Some I cannot. So the second book felt younger to me than the first one. I think it felt younger to me because there was more relationship-y stuff with Mal and Alina. Now, there are people that say that Mal's really toxic for Alina and she needs to leave him and yada, 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 and all this, that, and the other. And there are some possessive issues, and there are some overprotection issues that I do see from Mal, and as I made very clear earlier, I think is gross. But, they're young people. They don't know how to be in relationships, whereas the other books that I read, these are clearly adults, and have had relationships and should know better, So it's still gross. Like, there's no excuse for being an overpossessive, overbearing douche. But so there are some aspects of Mal's personality to that. And I would argue that Alina is equally, if not more so, toxic. So they're on the run. They have a plan. They're going to go be a couple out in the world, not have to deal with good, bad, light, dark, evil, good and evil. They trying to outrun the Darkling until all this is over and they just don't want to deal with it anymore. And they're going to go be on a farm and be together and pop out some kids. Cool. Enjoy. And then she gets sucked back into her world, with the presence of Nikolai coming in to like save the day. And then they make their way back to the little palace. So right there, Mal has already given up their plans. There wasn't much of a choice. This was probably the best option for them. So fine. And he's growing resentful. He's also growing resentful of the fact that Alina is pulling away from him. She's having visions and she's having nightmares and she's not talking to anyone about this. And she's especially not talking to Mal about this. Instead, she's shying away from him and he doesn't understand why. So her inability to communicate and her willingness to push him away and then throw herself at someone else, mind you, but then so did he. So they're both equally toxic. Let's just put it, I'm just going to leave it there. They're both equally toxic for one another. And they will be better with other people. I do not ship them together. I don't know if I love or hate that term. Like, I feel like because I'm a little bit older, when I say ship them together, I sound like a jackass. But then when I hear kids, like younger folks say it, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Like, I don't know. I have a love-hate with that term. But anyway, so I don't ship them together. They can remain friends, but they will be happier with other people. But that is what made that book a bit of a slog for me. I thought it was way too long. It was way too long for what it was. I really think she probably could, because I'm about 20% into book 3 right now. So she probably could have done a duology and cut out a lot of unnecessary stuff in here. But book 3 has already started off a lot more fiery. So I'm more into what's going on in book 3. Book 2 was a definite drop for me. Book 1 I thought was cute and fun and set up the world building really well. Now, my final book that I read was a nonfiction, and that is The Trial of Lizzie Borden by Kara Robertson. I didn't know that Lizzie Borden was in her 30s. For some reason to me, because you learn the rhyme when you're a kid, so like the assumption is just that she was a teenager in her early 20s when she killed her father and her stepmother. So I don't know. I just never assumed. I never looked it up. And then listen to this, like she was, 32, 33, something like that. What's really crazy is the media around the trial and the way people spoke about who could have done this if they did not believe that Lizzie did it. I believe Lizzie did it. So, but if people who didn't would talk about foreigners coming in and that like it's literally a woman was talking about foreigners are sending these types of people to come here. Like, I mean, just the same rhetoric we've had the last 4 years. Nothing has changed. And that is so sad to me. I'm listening to this and like how people are talking about foreigners and immigrants coming in then and listening to it now. The lack of change to me is so sad and pathetic. I was like literally shocked. I shouldn't have been. Over the last 4 years, there shouldn't be anything that shocks me now. But I was like, whoa, nothing has changed. And it's really sad. So they also tried to say that Jack the Ripper came from London. And then they tried to sort of spin a narrative of this guy called Jack the Chopper, which I thought was really funny. So first they couldn't make Jack the Ripper work because that would make zero sense. He was a serial killer who had a very specific type of woman that he killed. He would not come to the Americas and murder, Lizzie Borden's parents. It just makes no sense. So all the speculation's going on. This is quite a spectacle this town has never seen before. So it was a really good book. The woman who wrote this has been studying this trial since like the 1990s. So she's been studying this for a long time, and it's a really comprehensive read. There are times where it gets a bit boring and a bit dry because it is a legal true crime book. Lizzie just kept giving she kept giving different answers to things. To different people, or she'd even give different answers to the same people and on trial, and then a lot of other people, I can't remember, well, you said this at this time, yeah, but that doesn't matter. And a lot of it was attributed to like her womanly time, and like basically like, bitches be crazy during their woman time, you can't trust anything she says. And that, like, my blood is boiling at this point listening to this, and it's just, and again, people still talk about women like this, and so nothing's changed, and it's equally as pathetic as nothing has changed racially. So sexism and racism is the same from the 1800s to now, and it's so pathetic. But yeah, interesting trial, lots of interesting evidence and hearsay and like how the media played into this, how the group of men came up with their conclusion that she's innocent and then she could live out the rest of her life, as she sees fit. But she made a lot of people uncomfortable after that. She was pretty like an independent, brash woman after that, and just gave no fucks. So yeah, so those are the 6 books that I read in, what month is this? April. I read them in April because we just entered May. Cool. So actually, what I'm going to do next is we're going to get into the stats. Well, here we go. We are on Storygraph. So again, I read 6 books, coming to a total of 2,126 pages. And my primary moods are lighthearted, funny, emotional, mysterious. And then we get into the mid ones: mysterious, informative, dark, challenging, and adventurous. So that is mostly the types of moods that I read. And then getting into the pace: fast, slow, medium. Cool. I'm either slow. The audiobooks, of course, are faster. So those ones are going to be the faster pace. And I read more audiobooks this month than physical or Kindle. Average page number, most everything was between 300 and 499 pages. Only one of them was below 300. All of them are fiction except for one. I did read a lot of romance, some contemporary, young adult, true crime, being Lizzie Borden. My average rating was 3.25. Like I said, it was either good or it was a very average month. So that is fine. So let's go up here to the entire year thus far. So for 2021, my goal is 60 books. I've read 24 so far, coming up to 8,628 pages. 4 books ahead. Yay. My primary moods are dark, adventurous, emotional, and funny, diving into reflective and mysterious, challenging, intense. And then these other little ones are lighthearted, informative, and hopeful. See how little that hopeful is? Oh my gosh. That should tell me something. Maybe I should read more reflective stuff to know how, where's my reflective? Oh, there it is. Maybe I should read more reflective books to know why my hopeful is so tiny. Anyway, slow, medium, and fast paces, mostly fast paced because I have read a lot of audiobooks so far. Things are just coming in on my library and I'm like, oh, got to get through these. So getting through those quicker. Most are in this mid-range, not a lot below 300. Same here with fiction and nonfiction. Mostly been fiction. Have not read a lot of nonfiction this year, which is somewhat unusual for me. Then we're getting into fantasy, young adult, contemporary are my top. Have been my top items. Which young adult, I'm like, yep. I mean, I guess so. Don't know why my brain is just going that direction lately, but they've been, like I said, I've felt average about them. So yeah. And then this will track my number of pages versus books read. And then my average for the year so far rating is 3.52. So that is what's going on. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Bye.